So welcome everyone. I'm Julie Lockman with the CTSI. So I'm the Director of the Professional Development Corps, which is part of the CTSI that runs the Research Scholar Program, which is why you're here. And I also wanted to introduce, or have my colleagues introduce themselves. They're also all kind of play a role, an important role in this program, and so you need to know them as well.
Oh, hi, I'm Ann Boyer, the Director of Finance and Grant Administration for CTSI. I'm Camille Shelby. I just started as Program Coordinator for the Pilot Grants Program.
I'm Megan Reeves. I'm the Manager of our Investigator Development and previously Pilot Grant Coordinator. So she'll be the one that you'll be working with if you're also applying for pilot grants, and me as well. But
so what we've done is we have a small slide presentation, which really pulls out some of the information from the announcement that you would have seen, and then really just we want this to be more time that you can answer any questions that you have. So what we have here on the first slide are just our current scholars. They are finishing up. They actually will have completed 2 years at the end of June, and all of them are MDs. Currently, the MDs or MD PhDs, all conducting human subjects research. But in the past, we have had scholars who are, public health professionals conducting clinical research. We've had scholars who are basic scientists, but conducting very translational and clinical research. So we are gearing this to be clinical focused, but it's not to exclude those who don't have an MD behind learning those types of things. So these are also good people if you happen to know them, or we can connect you to them if you, after we talk, if you want more information about the real, what's it like, you could certainly talk with these individuals, and so we can give you that information if you want it. Just let me know. And so the idea of the Research Scholar Program, so this program is modeled after an NIHK type award, so a career type award. So it's a component, that is important to support your growing research program and to kind of help propel you to be an independent clinical researcher. And so the research part, there's some money towards helping support your research program. The unique and really important piece is that there's funds that go towards salary support to protect your time, so you have time to conduct the research as well. And so along with that, there's an important part of career development. And so applicants for this program and successful candidates would have mentors kind of going through this process with them. And there's usually a primary mentor, and then there's other members of that team who may each bring something different to the table, but it's definitely a mentored career development type program. DMC eligibility, you need to, so we're looking at people that are earlier in their career stage. So typically assistant professors. We're looking for those that are conducting clinical research. And so we've listed the clinical degrees there, and if yours is not listed there, that does not mean that you can't apply, but these are just the more, kind of the more typical of what we have been seeing. And then based upon the requirement of NIH, I guess I should say an endpoint of this program is that we would like to see people apply for an NIHK award or something similar to that. It's not, there may be other mechanisms that fit, and that's okay. So where we have U.S. citizens or permanent residents, that is because to apply for a K award, that is a requirement. Now I've learned that there are certain K awards, like a K-99, and there's some other grants that people that do not meet this criterion that are on different visas can apply for. So I think that's something, if you're in this category, submit the letter of intent, describe your situation and your career plan, and we can kind of look at that to see if that's going to be a fit for this program. But in general, the requirements here are modeled after the NIH, and we are an NIH-funded program overall, the CTSI is. So So what do you do? So it's really about conducting your research, and we talked about that they're getting you a strong foundation. And again, the key part of this is you getting the time out of clinic or out of the classroom, whatever it may be, so you have the time to do the work you need to do to build up your CV, to get, publication, get the data, get publications out. So then by the end of the program, you're applying to the NIH or other external agencies to be able to continue that on your own as an independent investigator. Okay. So number-wise, what we're looking at is up to 50% protected time. So what that means is there's salary support that does come from CTSI for that. That's something we need to kind of talk about, because the NIH does have, is there anything further on this, or is this all right here? It's all right. Okay, so the NIH has a salary cap that we are not allowed to pay. I mean, basically that salary cap is all we can consider. So when we pay 50% of the protected time, the most we can pay is 50% of that cap, which is 187. 187, okay? So for some people, that's not a big issue, and for others, you far exceed that. And so that's why this becomes a partnership with your chair and with the people that are kind of behind you in your career goals. It's a big discussion, and they have to be on board with, understanding what will come from CTSI and then what might need to come from the departments to kind of keep you where you are with your salary, while them still figuring out how they're going to manage the clinical piece. Okay, and so we've worked with plenty of people through this process, and so we're happy. Dr. Hodder is one who could also certainly work with you and talking with your chair, if that is something that this is new to your chair, and the idea of something like this is new. And some of them it's not, and some of them are they understand this, they're supportive of it, but some of them it's a little scary, because it can be a lot of money when they lose you a little more from the clinic, and then they're still paying out more, and they have to maybe bring someone else in. So we can talk more about that if there's more questions on that. That's kind of that piece. And then there's funds for research and travel built in. So what we're looking at for this upcoming cohort is we have slots for 3 scholars for this upcoming cohort, and that would be for 1 year, and it can be renewable for another year, depending on progress and if things are working and going well. So there's a small amount in there for travel for each year, and then there's an amount in there, modest amount in there for supporting your research. And so once you submit the LOI, and if you're invited to apply for the program, then we can provide more of that information to you as you prepare your application, because you'll need to think about a budget and those types of things, okay? But I don't have all that right in front of me today to be able to give you specific on those numbers there. And then other things as far as benefits to you, aside from kind of the protected time and the money, are CTSI, if you've not engaged, I think a number of you probably have. You probably met with Megan or Wes. I mean, I'm seeing faces I've seen in our offices that I haven't personally met with you. So you understand some of the services and resources that we provide to any CTSI member, and so scholars are considered kind of high priority. So if there's a waiting list or anything like that, the scholars are considered high priority for receiving the services. And then, again, the formal mentoring and career development, which is something that we would facilitate. We help schedule your meetings and make sure they're happening, and there's an evaluation component to that. We take it seriously. It's not like, okay, you name your mentor, you go off to your thing, and in a year we check in. Like, we stay involved with you in that process because we want to see you succeed, and so we really help to facilitate throughout that. So what we're looking at, we've instituted this year is the letter of intent. So this is really to make sure that it's a good fit before people put in a lot of work into an application and they find that there's some small reason why they wouldn't have been considered. So the letter of intent is due December 15th. And so it's not a large write-up that you have to have. So you see brief description of your research. We need to know what your current, basically, time split is in the clinic, teaching and service. And then potential mentors. You don't have to have your team nailed down now, but we do want to see that you know of some people, one or more people locally that might be, willing to serve in that role and be a good fit. And you can have an external mentor as well, but we really like to see, if possible, a primary mentor who is local. But, with technology, we can make the distance mentoring work, and we do that. So that's not to prohibit that from happening. Mentors, your current NIH BioSketch or CD, and very importantly is the letter from the chair. And it ties in with what we talked about, the idea that they are agreeing to provide you some protection of your time. And so we need to make sure they're aware of what this program entails and that they're on board with it. Okay, and so that's up front. And so again, if it is something you need some guidance in how to talk with them about, just let us know and we can provide more information and some strategies about that.
So we only need one letter of support.
For the LOI.
For
For the LOI, really what we care up front is just to know that your chair is supportive. Because if the chair is not supportive, we can't do it. Right? I mean, that is the thing. And so, and we need to have them on board with this. Now, when we come to the full application, so we'll review letters of intent. We'll get, back to you, and there'll be an invitation to submit a full application. And in the full application, it's actually modeled after an NIH KOA award. I don't want you to get too far down the line with going ahead and preparing that, but there are some components that you'll need. But we will have like a specific outline that tells you what you need. But these will all be components of it, so you can certainly, your BioSketch, make sure it's updated, and that you need for the LOI anyway, your cover letter. The career development and mentoring plan, this is often something really new. Some of you may be very familiar with putting together a research strategy for other things in grants, but the career development and mentoring plan is pretty unique to these K awards. And it's really just talking through, first of all, what are some meetings or courses or workshops you might do to beef up your skills in a certain area that you're studying. And then the other piece is, who are your mentors? What's the frequency of your meeting? How are you going to make this work? What do each of the mentors bring to the team? And then logistically, how are you going to approach this to make sure that the mentoring happens and it's effective? There are examples of this out there. We can provide you with some templates and examples. And for those that are invited to submit an application, I will send some templates and kind of things to help you get started with writing. Okay?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Do your mentors have to be clinicians?
No. And in fact, we do have some clinical scholars who don't have clinicians. So we'd like to see that there's at least one clinician scientist on the team, because that's a career development piece not many other people can provide to understand what it's like to be in those shoes. But then mentors who are really good at grant writing. I mean, that is an important piece of helping you strategize and put together your writing, your publications, your grants. That's important. And then a content expert in your area that maybe a basic scientist is not a clinician. And to be honest, when we look at our mentoring teams, most of them have a lot of translational and basic sciences on them because they have a lot of time. They've been funded. They're actively engaged in research. And so we're constantly seeking out mentors who are clinician scientists, because while we're getting them every day at WVU and in West Virginia as a whole, they're not as easy to come by. So it's nice to have a mixed, multidisciplinary look of the team, and we are happy to help facilitate that if you're kind of at a loss. We'd like to see at least 3 people on the team. That would be ideal, but that doesn't mean we can't have more.
It does, thank you.
Okay. So then, of course, your research plan, I won't go into that more. That's something that's listed there for you. Components, the budget, human subjects protection section. If you're not familiar with putting together a budget, we will have a template for you. Dr. Bolliard is a wonderful template that she shares and people can use. And of course, if you need advice as you go through that, we can make sure to kind of provide you some help in that area as you're putting that together. As far as if you're awarded as a research scholar, you would do your own thing. Okay, what you say you're going to do an application, but then we also, we ask that you're going to be publishing. That's what we're going to monitor. We do quarterly reports, so we make sure we're on track, we're publishing, and you've got your timeline for your actual external grant submission in place, and that's happening. We've started up new, what we call work in progress monthly meetings to bring together our current scholars, their mentors, some of the CTSI leadership, and other people, because we really want it to be there to be some peer mentoring as well, and kind of some support of each other, and so we're not working in isolated pockets. It's kind of a group and coming together, and it's neat because then you identify points of potential collaboration moving forward, and other people's mentors can see something a little different when you're presenting your work, and so that's successful. So we ask that, and then we often ask, we have events and times that we often ask our people to present at CTSI events or seminars. So those are other things that you would expect. So we have our dates up here. We have, this feels like plenty of time, a good timeline to be plenty of time to prepare. At least within your, you can think about, start thinking about it. And we try to avoid actually a major, the February NIH submission. So if anyone happens to be submitting, this doesn't overlap, there's still some time after that. So that's what we're looking at. And now we'll just open it up for questions from you all.